Hello, I'm Tom, and I'm going to talk about our group's design project for signals and systems. We designed an audio equalizer in MATLAB. The main idea is that you can take in a selection of songs, you can play the original track, then you can adjust the equalizer and apply that filter to the track and then play the new sound. I will give you a rough demo of that in action. So here are your selections of songs that you can take in. The first being a simple ringtone. Uh, as you can see, if you press play, then you'll get a quick sample of the song. These presets here are the set kind of typical sound equalizers that you can apply to match these genres. If you pick one, say techno, and click apply filter, you'll see how it changes the original track to meet this new filter. So you can apply a whole bunch of different ones. Then you can also test what that will sound like. So for example, this is the vocal filter or the techno filter. To make it more obvious what the filter is doing, I can scale the high frequencies down to minus 12 decibels and leave the low frequencies at positive 12 decibels and see what that effect has on the. So as you can see, it's quite heavily distorted, making, oh, not quite heavily. It obviously emphasizes the lower frequencies much more. These other songs can load in pretty simply. So, for example, here we have the Fur Release classical song and then the Windows XP sound. Can try that one. That being the original track, then we can apply a different filter to that. And there you go. See how that goes. I can go through the code now. So this is our code for our project. It has 10 callback functions. The first three are how we load in the samples for the that we play in the project. So this is the ringtone, the fur release, and the Windows XP functions. So we use this function here, this command audio read, which takes the audio data and the sample rate as two parameters. We also use this one here, audio info, which we use to get the total time that the sample takes to play. This line here we use just to set the reset what the audio filtered audio track actually is whenever you swap the sample. So if you wanted to swap from the ringtone to the Windows XP sound, then this would reset it to an unsampled, an unfiltered version of the Windows XP rather than having the filtered ringtone sound already being used. We then plot those two samples immediately. Next, we have this function here, which simply just plays the original unfiltered sample. This button here, it's the equivalent, but after applying some kind of filter, this will play the filtered sample. These four callback functions here are the presets for those four genre-based equalizer settings. So they just set the slider values to a specified decibel value. And then finally, this function here is how we apply the filter. So we use the Butterworth function, which is essentially uh, a general filter function where you can apply a high, low, or band pass filter to a sample. This parameter specifies the order of the filter, and then we take the frequency range and then divide it by the sample rate and divide it by 2. Here we take the scaling factor of, well, we're calculating the scaling factor of what we set from the sliders. So this takes the slider value and converts it from a decibel value back to a magnitude. We then take those magnitude values and multiply them by the two values we take from the Butterworth filter, function. So it's essentially the numerator and denominator of a transfer function. We take those as two parameters as well as the sample rate that we get from the audio read file function in the original callback functions we talked about, and then multiply that by the scaling factor, this magnitude that we calculate here. Finally, we sum up those 5 band pass filters specified by these 5 frequency ranges and then plot those on the axis. So that's just how we load in the filter and apply it to the sound. Yeah. Apart from that, the only other thing worth mentioning is that we always have these global variables that makes it very easy to access. So whenever we load in a sample, we can always access that specific sample, the sampling rate, and then the filtered audio, and then the scales. So that makes all of these functions possible. But yeah, apart from that, that's the entirety of the project. The equalizer ranges were selected based on just some research on what other equalizers use. This is pretty similar to what Spotify use in their settings for setting equalizers. But apart from that, that's essentially our project. Thanks for listening.